Behind the glamour, Joo Hyuk and Lee Sung-kyung's wedding that shook the nation. Was it truly the perfect fairy tale? Or did the dazzling lights hide untold secrets? The whole country watched in awe. But what really unfolded beyond the red carpet may surprise you. Join Red Carpet Revealed as we uncover every detail and explore the truth behind the wedding that left South Korea breathless. Behind the glamour, Joo Hyuk and Lee Sung-kyung's wedding that shook the nation. Was this truly a love story written in the stars? Or a carefully constructed dream the world so desperately wanted to believe in? On the surface, their wedding was everything a fan of Korean dramas could hope for, romance blooming between two beloved stars. A union that felt like a scene plucked straight from the screen. But behind the glittering lights, the endless headlines, and the feverish adoration of millions, lay a story far richer, far more complex than a single night of celebration. The love story between Joo Hyuk and Lee Sung-kyung had already captivated the hearts of fans years before their wedding day. Meeting on the set of the iconic drama weightlifting fairy Kim Bok-joo, the two radiated chemistry that blurred the lines between fiction and reality. Audiences fell in love not only with the characters they portrayed, but with the undeniable warmth that lingered after the cameras stopped rolling. Rumors swirled almost immediately. Whispered by fans and amplified by tabloids, could their on-screen romance be real? For a time, they denied it, choosing to protect their budding relationship from the intrusive gaze of the public. But when confirmation finally came, it was met with thunderous applause from across South Korea and beyond. They weren't just actors anymore, they were the embodiment of the dream so many fans carried, that love on screen could exist in the real world. As years passed, their relationship became a symbol of stability and authenticity in an industry notorious for fleeting romances. Both flourished in their careers, Joo Hyuk with his rise as one of Korea's most beloved leading men, and Lee Sung-kyung cementing her reputation as a versatile actress and model with unmatched charisma. They walked red carpets together, though often cautiously, keeping affection subtle in public while fan communities erupted with excitement at every glance, every photograph, every accidental moment of tenderness caught by the media. By the time whispers of a wedding surfaced, it seemed inevitable, almost written in destiny. When the announcement was finally made official, it was nothing short of a cultural explosion. News outlets declared it the wedding of the decade. Hashtags trended globally within hours, and fans flooded social media with messages of joy, disbelief, and sheer excitement. For many, it was more than just a wedding. It was the realization of a fantasy they had nurtured since the pair first locked eyes on screen. This wasn't just about two celebrities, it was about a nation's love affair with a couple who had carried their hopes, dreams, and imaginations for years. The wedding itself was the kind of spectacle that only a handful of events in South Korean history could rival. Held in the heart of Seoul, the venue is cloaked in secrecy until the very last moment. Security was tight. Drones were spotted circling overhead, and reporters camped out for days to capture even a fleeting glimpse of what promised to be the most glamorous event in recent memory. Invitations, sent out weeks prior, rumored to be among the most coveted slips of paper in the entertainment industry. Golden tickets that only the elite few would hold. Guests included not just family and friends but some of the most powerful names in film, television, music, and fashion. It was less a wedding and more a gathering of the who's who of South Korea. The bride and groom, of course, stole the show. Lee Sung-kyung, radiant in a gown that blended modern elegance with subtle nods to tradition, walked the aisle with poise that seemed otherworldly. Her smile, equal parts joy and relief, captured the cameras and dominated headlines the next day. Joo Hyuk, dashing in a perfectly tailored suit, could not take his eyes off her, his every expression radiating pride and love. Together, they created an image so flawless, so cinematic, that it seemed almost unreal. The ceremony itself was a carefully choreographed blend of tradition and modernity. Vows were exchanged in hushed voices. Soft music accompanied every step, and flowers, thousands upon thousands of them, filled the hall with fragrance and color. Friends and colleagues later described the moment as surreal. A wedding that felt more like a scene from a dream than an event in real life. Videos circulated online. Fans dissected every detail from the color of the flowers to the expressions of the guests, and for weeks, the wedding was the only topic anyone could talk about. What truly made the event historic was not the luxury or the celebrity guest list, it was the collective emotional response of an entire country. Across South Korea, People tuned into live coverage. Cafes broadcasted updates on screens. And strangers exchanged smiles and comments as if celebrating the union of their own family. There was a sense of pride, of national joy. As though the happiness of these two beloved stars somehow belonged to everyone. And yet, behind all the glamour, the very perfection of it all invited questions. Could any marriage, no matter how deeply rooted in love, really live up to the impossible standards placed upon it? What would happen when the flowers wilted, the guests went home, and the cameras turned away? If the wedding was a fairy tale, what awaited them beyond a happily ever after ending that fans so desperately wanted to believe in? The first part of this story, thrilling and unforgettable, ended with applause, joy, collective sigh of a nation that had witnessed history. But as with every fairy tale, story does not end at the wedding, it merely transforms. For Joo Hyuk and Lee Kyung, glamour of their wedding masked realities, pressures, truths that would only reveal themselves in time. Behind the glamour lay not just a wedding, but the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with challenges, secrets, and struggles as monumental as the celebration that shook the nation. When the music faded, the flowers began to wither. The guests returned to their own lives. The fairy tale shifted into reality. The nation had witnessed the glamour, the grandeur, and the perfection of Joo Hyuk and Lee Kyung's wedding. But for the couple themselves, what followed was a new chapter that demanded more than rehearsed vows and perfect photographs. Marriage, unlike the spectacle of a wedding, is lived in moments unseen. And for two of Korea's brightest stars, those moments would be magnified under the relentless gaze of millions. The days immediately following the wedding were euphoric. Fans celebrated with trending hashtags. Brands rushed to associate themselves with the newlyweds. And the entertainment industry buzzed with opportunities. Their love story had become not just a personal triumph but a cultural commodity. Photographers clamored for exclusive post-wedding shoots. Magazines offered unprecedented deals. International media declared them the royal couple of K-drama. In many ways, their marriage was treated less like a union and more like a franchise. A storyline that needed to keep delivering happy chapters for its eager audience. Yet beneath the applause lay immense pressure. Both Joo Hyuk and Lee Kyung had thriving careers, with projects lined up months, even years in advance. Their schedules pulled them apart, sending one to distant film locations while the other attended international fashion events. What should have been a honeymoon phase quickly transformed into a balancing act of commitments, appearances, expectations. Love was present. Time was scarce. And in those rare quiet moments together, the weight of their public roles often overshadowed the intimacy they craved. The scrutiny was unrelenting. Every gesture, every absence, every word spoken in interviews was dissected by tabloids and fans alike. When Lee Kyung appeared at a fashion gala without her wedding ring, speculation erupted about trouble in paradise. Joo Hyuk was photographed laughing with a co-star. Rumors of jealousy and insecurity spread like wildfire. The incident held truth. But in a world where perception often outpaces reality, such whispers were enough to stir unease. For the couple, silence became both shield and weapon. Avoided direct confrontation with the media, rarely addressing personal matters publicly. But silence between them at home was harder to bear. Friends close to the pair described moments of distance, not of anger or betrayal, but of exhaustion. They were tired. One confidant shared. Tired of being perfect. Tired of being watched. Tired of living a love story that belonged more to the public than to themselves. Despite the challenges, there were undeniable moments of joy. They found comfort in small rituals, late-night dinners after long shoots, handwritten notes tucked into suitcases, phone calls that stretched into dawn despite time zones. These fragments of intimacy reminded them of why they fell in love in the first place. And yet, the tension of balancing personal happiness with public expectation never truly eased. The very thing that had elevated their wedding into a national event, their status as beloved icons, was the same thing that complicated their married life. The symbolic weight of their union extended beyond their personal struggles. Across South Korea, marriage sparked conversations about the role of celebrities as cultural symbols. Was it fair to place such immense pressure on two individuals simply because their love story had unfolded in the spotlight? The relationship survived when it was treated as a mirror for societal hopes and fantasies. Their wedding had become more than a private celebration. It was a stage upon which the nation projected its dreams of love, stability, and happily ever afters. In quieter corners of their lives, Nam Joo Hyuk and Lee Sung Kyung wrestled with the reality of being both partners and performers. They loved each other deeply, but they were also navigating an industry that demanded constant availability, beauty, and emotional resilience. Smiled for cameras. They weren't just smiling as husband and wife, they were smiling as symbols of an ideal. And that duality, over time, began to weigh heavily. Still, their resilience shone through. Interviews conducted months after the wedding revealed a maturity in their voices, a willingness to acknowledge the difficulty of their journey without sacrificing tenderness. Marriage is not the end of a story, Sung Kyung shared in one rare interview. It's the beginning of one that takes effort every single day. Nam Joo Hyuk echoed this sentiment, emphasizing the importance of support, compromise, and honesty. Their candor, while brief, fans a glimpse into the reality behind the glamour, a reality marked not only by romance but by labor, patience, and vulnerability. The story also had a ripple effect on the entertainment industry. The success of their wedding, the nationwide frenzy it sparked, encouraged more openness about celebrity relationships. Younger stars found courage in their example, daring to speak more honestly about love and companionship despite the risks. Their union became a turning point, changing the unspoken rule that idols must choose between career and personal happiness. And yet, the most powerful legacy of their wedding was not on the industry, but in the hearts of ordinary people. Across the country, couples drew inspiration from their story, finding hope that love could thrive even in the harshest spotlight. Fans, too, began to understand the importance of empathy, realizing that beneath the glittering facades were human beings vulnerable to the same fears and challenges as anyone else. As months turned into years, the frenzy faded, but the memory of that dazzling wedding endured. It lived in photo albums, in viral clips, in the whispered recollections of those who had been lucky enough to witness it firsthand. And for Nam Joo Hyuk and Lee Sung Kyung, it became both a cherished memory and a reminder of the immense love they shared, the burdens they carried, resilience they discovered in each other. Behind the glamour, their story was never just about a wedding. About two people navigating the impossible balance between private devotion and public expectation. It was about love that had to withstand not just the test of time, but the scrutiny of an entire nation. And ultimately, it was about the human truth that even the brightest stars, the most glamorous couples, must face the same questions we all do. How do we love? How do we endure? And how do we stay true to ourselves in a world that demands perfection? Their wedding shook the nation, but their marriage redefined what it meant to love under the spotlight. For years to come, their story will be told not only as a tale of glamour, a profound reminder of the strength and fragility of love. Behind the glamour was not just a wedding, it was a legacy, a cultural moment that blurred the line between fantasy and reality, and a love story that will remain etched in the collective memory of a generation. In the end, behind the glamour, Nam Joo Hyuk and Lee Sung Kyung's wedding that shook the nation was more than just a story about a beautiful ceremony. It was a cultural moment, a love story that blurred the line between fantasy and reality, and a reminder that even the brightest stars are human. Their wedding may have stunned South Korea, but their journey together continues to inspire conversations about love, fame, and what it truly means to live under the spotlight. Behind every dazzling smile and breathtaking gown lies a deeper story, one of resilience, vulnerability, and devotion. And perhaps that is the greatest legacy of Nam Joo Hyuk and Lee Sung Kyung's wedding. It reminded us all that love, no matter how public or private, is something worth cherishing and protecting. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the love story that captured a nation. What do you think about Nam Joo Hyuk and Lee Sung Kyung's unforgettable wedding? Share your thoughts in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. If this story moved you, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to Red Carpet Revealed and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next exclusive story from the world of K-drama and Korean entertainment.